Good morning. In Matthew chapter 16 and verse 24, Jesus told his disciples, "If anyone would come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross, or his torture stake if you prefer, and follow me." In the book of Luke, he said something similar. Luke 14 and verse 33. "Therefore, any one of you who does not renounce all that he has cannot be my disciples." In other words, all of Jesus' disciples were going to suffer. But why, if they're trying to do the right thing? Well, very simply put, it's for the sake of the wicked. The Lord knew that there would be many people like the Apostle Paul who would start off opposing the good news and wouldn't want to follow Jesus' commands to start with, but they might eventually see the wisdom of it and change their ways. So, in the meantime, good people suffer for the sake of the wicked to give them a chance to change. But what about people in general who are not the Lord's disciples particularly, but suffer due to life in general, wars, sickness, floods, famines, droughts, earthquakes, and so on? As it says in the book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 22, "We know that the whole creation has been groaning together in the pains until now." If we go right back to the beginning of suffering, did God know that his decisions would result in so much suffering for all of mankind? Of course he did. But what alternative did he have? He had warned Adam and Eve of the consequences of sin, that if they sinned, they would die. He couldn't go back on that decision because we have to rely both on his warnings and his promises. Adam ignored the warnings and sold us all into slavery to sin. We were kidnapped by sin. Immediately Adam sinned, God could have put Adam and Eve to death. If he had done that, we would not have been here today. Instead, God put in place a way of buying us back from sin. Now that price was going to be enormous, so God wanted as many people as possible to benefit from it. In the meantime, God knew that we would hurt each other badly and that we would destroy this planet as best we could, either through selfishness or greed. But God also knew that when the kingdom came, that suffering would be in the past and we would forget all about it. In the meantime, that suffering has served two purposes. It gives us a lesson in that if we follow Christ's commandments, that is the only way we're going to get peace on this planet. Doing our own thing is going to result in awful conditions. So let us follow Jesus' commandments as best we can now. And also, the suffering is a test. Are we going to blame God for this, or are we going to put the blame squarely where it belongs, with those who are causing the trouble? However, how do we cope with the suffering in the meantime? In order to help us appreciate God's wisdom, Psalm 19 says, "The heavens declare the glory of God. The vault of heaven proclaims his handiwork." From verses 7 to 9 excerpts, "The law of Yahweh is perfect, new life for the soul. The judgments of Yahweh are true, righteous, every one, more desirable than gold, even than the finest gold." Regarding creation, the commentaries say this, that creation is an impressive reflection of God's greatness, his majesty, his vastness, his splendor, his order, his wisdom, and I might add, His kindness. He will get us through this time of trouble, and when the kingdom comes, we'll forget all about it, and we will bask in God's grace and His great kindness then. Thank you for listening, and God bless you all.